Helen,
And I'm Liz,
and we're sisters
scientists,
and lifelong X-Files fans.
and this is We Want to Believe.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Yes,
Oh, I cut you off. Sorry, Helen.
that's okay. No, I was just going to say it's been a few weeks. Thank you for your patience, everyone. And you, Liz, because it's mostly been me that's the problem.
That's okay. Yes. Welcome back, everyone.
My job, I guess, is the real problem. It's not me.
Yeah, if we could get picked up by a big podcast network and get sponsored and stuff a lot and get lots of money, then man, would we churn out the episodes. So
Yeah, you bet.
yeah.
Yeah. It was advising week last week, which is those are the two worst weeks work-wise of the year for me, unless I also do summer advising, which I'm not doing this year. But then there's 4 terrible weeks of the year.
God.
Yeah, so I had to meet with almost 40 of my advisees.
That's a crazy number of advisees.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Them will get picked up by other majors. So some of them I'm their first year advisor. But some of them are going to major in biology. So
And
that's still me.
and presumably other ones will come in as first year students next year. And
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So always good times advising week. So that's why things have been the way they've been.
fair.
I know you had a recommendation for something.
Yeah, a book.
Recommendation as well. Oh, for a book. Tell me.
So it's called Under the Surface, and it's by Diana Urban. It's a YA
I've heard of her.
thriller/horror. She and I are in a writing group together, so I feel very name droppy and cool.
Ooh.
Yeah, she seems really nice. And I had wanted to read her book for a while because I read another one of hers that takes place on a program so her other book that I read takes place on a semester at sea type program where it's high school students on a cruise and then there's a murder.
Cool.
But this one has students going on a study abroad trip to Paris.
Oh, no.
And the main character and some of her friends get lost in the Paris catacombs. And then there's somebody after them in there.
Oh my gosh. What's it called?
Under the Surface.
Under the Surface. That sounds great. I
Yeah.
don't know if I should read that before or after taking students to Munich this summer. After, probably.
I'm going to say after.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about, I'm taking a group of, they're between 19 and 22.
Well, that helps a lot. It's high school students in the book, so it is, a lot more
That's true.
fraught. Yeah.
Well, but my point was going to be remembering some of the fun we had in Amsterdam when I was 19 and went there and just thinking we were there to vacation.
Yeah. And I also want to stress that given what Amsterdam is like, if you don't know us and you're picturing whatever Helen's voice implied there, you're probably wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just we went out to bars till late at night. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, there was no drug usage. There was no any sort of typical, no. It was being on vacation. I mean, the only thing that made it, I think, particular because it was Amsterdam was that bars were open so much later.
Yeah. And and it was Europe, so you were allowed in even though you weren't 21.
Right. Yes. Yeah. But that's the same for Germany too. So
yeah. At least look, they don't have catacombs.
They don't have catacombs. No.
So that's a good start.
Have bars. I don't know.
They don't have legalized prostitution like Amsterdam does. I don't know. I honestly think it'll be fine. Are they all staying in the same place you stay?
Yes.
Okay, so they're not going to be able to walk into the city that easily either. It's kind of outside the city.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we're outside the city center. They know they're there to work. We, in our pre-departure stuff, we've been saying nights and weekends are yours, but you have to come ready to work in the morning. So
I know the first time I took students abroad, I flipped out the week before and was like, because we were taking them to Amsterdam, and I was like, I am taking college kids to the city with the most liberal drug laws on earth.
Oh man.
What am I thinking? And
Yeah. And you've
yeah,
been doing this for years.
yeah, a decade now. And I
Yeah.
mean, my horror stories are minimal, and none of them involve actual horror with catacombs or anything. And yeah, I mean, really, I think that, like I always tell my students, if you just want to go there to like drink or smoke weed or something, there's much cheaper ways to do that than this way. Like,
That's true. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. You don't have to pay tuition to
right. Yeah, exactly.
just go to Germany. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That's a good recommendation though. That sounds really good.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. Like, especially because I love Paris and you love Paris.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
It was hard to put down, and it was really good. And I was telling Diana, like, oh, I wanted it to be twice as long, and she was like, I could not have survived that because she got so claustrophobic while writing it, she was saying.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, I want to read it.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, it's very like I did a lot of like sending her messages during it, like, I can't believe you did this. Oh my God. Like, I don't know. It's
While
great.
we're on the subject, I have not read your new book yet.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Not because of lack of interest, because of a combination of finishing a mediocre. I still technically haven't finished it. This library book that's about to expire and then got automatically renewed. Well, not
Oh.
automatically renewed. I renewed it, not thinking that I was going to be getting your book in time to
Hmm.
finish, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Um, and so it's like the clock is ticking and I have 3% left and it's real mediocre and I just like can't bring myself to do it. But I feel like if I start another book, then it's just over. Then I'm
Oh yeah.
book.
Yeah.
Um,
And with only 3% left, it's like, you might as well.
I know. Yeah. So that's where I'm at. So
And to be clear to our listeners, Helen is talking about a draft of a novel I just finished, not a new one that's been published, because you all will know when
yeah.
I have another one published.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you'll all have bought Mighty Millie Novak and gotten on my email list, and you'll know.
Exactly. Yep. I had a recommendation for a podcast.
Ooh.
It's by two of my colleagues, actually. It's not X-Files based. It's
Look, it'd be really weird if they were like, I'm going to start a competing X-Files podcast with my coworker.
that would be awesome. No, it's called Librarians Spill the Tea. It's our two librarians who talk
Oh.
like about like, I don't know, gossip in academic fields, like
That
about
sounds great.
like papers getting retracted and like the all the ins and outs of publishing in like a interesting way, not just like this is how you publish a paper, but like isn't this nuts? This is, like
Yeah.
weird things that have happened. So I've been very much enjoying it, and Mary and Tristan are my two colleagues. They're great.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. But otherwise, that's all I got. I've been working a lot and doing my nails when I haven't been working, which
And
takes
then,
hours.
yeah, I was going to say before we get to this week's episode, which is Avatar, I do believe we also have a nails update PSA from you.
Yes, it has been a long and trying process. But it's going okay. So I've been doing dip myself in an effort to save money. And I think I mentioned this because we've talked about how Hugo likes me to itch his back at night,
Mhm.
and he's been annoyed by the thickness of my nails.
Mhm.
And it's been going okay. I went over to a colleague's house. My colleague Rachel is the one who got me to start trying this myself. And so I went over there last Thursday and she tried to help me learn some better techniques. So I don't know if I have much of an update except to say I am still not great at it. It still takes me hours, but it's going decently well.
It looks great
Thank you.
at the level of resolution that I'm getting from the screen. So
Yeah. And that's about what I'd say, that it looks great at the resolution of the screen. Then yeah, it is a process. The hardest part is getting it off, honestly. The hardest part is having to and I bought a little
like a Dremel or something.
yeah. But then if I like do it for long enough and with enough revolutions, then it starts to like hurt.
Yeah, you're like wearing away at the nail and it heats
Yes.
up. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a like tough balance between wanting to save time and not wanting to hurt myself.
God.
So I'm working on it though. I'm gonna get there. But yeah, that was it.
Okay, that's
But
good.
yeah, thanks.
Nail update with Helen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So yes, Avatar. So I have a lot of thoughts.
Ooh.
So Avatar is mostly about Skinner. So we see him signing paperwork. So he's in some sort of lawyer's office and he's talking about like, does he sign? Does he not sign? He's like, reluctant to. And he says the pen he's using was an anniversary present.
Oh, so it's like divorce paperwork.
Yeah. And then eventually he just like keeps the pen and puts it in his jacket pocket and leaves and says something like, after 17 years, they can wait a day or something like that. It's clearly divorce.
You know my breakup pen story?
No.
When me and my ex bought a house, what'd you say?
Do you have a special breakup pen that you like rose, but the opposite?
I write "it's over" in the special pen. No. No, when me and my ex bought a house, we kept the pen when we signed the paperwork, and we lived in that house together for a couple of months before we broke up. So let this be my PSA: don't buy property with anyone unless you're very certain about the relationship and its future.
Yeah.
When we were eventually, like, it was a big hassle to get my name off the mortgage. And as Helen very much knows, because I was living with her for part of that, when we got my name off the mortgage, finally, like, I don't know, several, like a year and a half, 2 years after we'd broken up at that point, yeah, we had to go back into the same place. We had to sign papers again. And Chris was like, let's keep the pens again. And I just thought that was hilarious, and I did.
That's
So,
great.
like, oh, well, let's celebrate. We finally got this done. So,
That's awesome.
so
That was a fun summer, man. You were living with us and we played a lot of video games, and I was working as a nanny to an 11-year-old and would just like go to the library and the pool all day. It was,
yeah.
I mean, probably not as many fond memories from your side of things, but
Yes and no. I mean,
yeah, sure.
it was tumultuous but exciting.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So then we see Skinner in a hotel bar.
Okay.
And this blonde woman asks to sit by him. And she says there's like a man behind her who's been kind of harassing her a bit. And so she's like, glad Skinner orders another drink so that she has like, someone next to her or whatever. And then we see them in bed. And
Wow.
yeah. And Skinner is surprisingly ripped, for the record.
I remember finding that out. That's right.
Yeah. But suddenly, as they're having sex, suddenly she looks like a very old woman.
Oh, yeah.
And then he wakes up all of a sudden, like wakes up shocked. And she's asleep next to him, dead, with her neck.
Oh, so she's not asleep next to him so much as she is dead next to him.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. That's because in my notes, I was starting to write, he wakes up and she's asleep next to him.
Oh.
Fine. But then had to erase that and write dead. Yeah. So,
Ooh.
Mulder is at the crime scene. And they want to finish taking Skinner's statement at the station. And so Mulder and Scully are kind of talking. She's on his way. Nope, she's on her way. And then we see in the credits William B. Davis.
Oh.
Cigarette smoking man.
Yeah.
So that's always, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Because what I'm thinking now is how could this, I mean, I vaguely remember this episode. I remember liking it a lot. But what I would think the first time viewer would watch this and go, how the hell is Smoking Man involved in this?
Exactly. Yes. And I actually had the same thought because I had seen this one. This was another one where I felt like I remember not liking it much, but very much liked it.
Oh,
This, I
good.
don't know why, or maybe I was confusing it with a different episode or something. But I very much enjoyed it. Um, so Skinner tells Mulder that there's no need for him to be involved and is being like super kind of suspicious and quiet and stuff. Um, and Mulder's talking to the lead detective, and he finds out the victim had no purse or anything, so they don't know who it is at this point. And so Mulder tells Scully they're still on the phone to get down to the coroner's office and he'll meet her there. So Scully's in the coroner's office. We see a little bit of like autopsy light.
Mhm.
And she notes that the cervical vertebrae were crushed.
So she was like strangled.
Yeah, but that's like, I don't know. The word crushed to me implies an amount of force that a person would not typically have. And I didn't get a
Mm.
chance to like look up
What
how
cervical
often.
vertebrae look like when your
Oh,
neck is broken?
no, I know that.
Oh.
But like what amount of force it would take to crush them in their
Oh, okay.
living state.
Mm.
No, cervical vertebrae. So I did a bunch of research a long time ago on the hyoid bone, which is
And can we just pause for a second for our non-bone people?
oh,
And like, I was cervical vertebrae are not in the cervix.
no, but the word cervix means neck, which is why that word is the same in both places. So the cervix of the uterus, the neck between the uterus and the vagina, the cervical
Mm.
vertebrae, the neck vertebrae. Yeah,
I love it.
great. Me too.
Yeah.
Um, Me and my friend Sarah were texting the other day about which bodily systems we like and don't like. And reproductive and bones are pretty much the only ones I care that much about.
I mean, blood is disgusting, so.
Blood, I think, is cool. Blood and the immune system was also on my list. But like respiration, I don't care. Don't make me learn it. Don't make me teach it. I mean, I have to. They do, but
I mean, interesting because I just, I feel like other than the ones that are grosser than others, I don't know how you'd have a preference because I don't
yeah, I
know
don't
any of
know.
it. Hmm.
Yeah, I'd love to hear our listeners' thoughts on
Yeah,
this. And
what's your favorite system of the body?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
there is a right answer, and it's bones. Um, so
Wait, hold on. It's not called the bones system, though.
skeletal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Um, so we have 7 cervical vertebrae in our neck, same number as giraffes, just so you know.
I learned that watching Taskmaster.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was like a like quiz thing where they had to answer a bunch of questions really quickly, and one of them was true false, and one of the true false question was humans and giraffes have the same number of vertebrae in their necks.
Yes, that is true. Yeah,
Yeah.
theirs are just much bigger. Um, so the hyoid bone then is a bone that sits around the place of the third or fourth cervical vertebrae in adults. It's like basically right under your mandible, right under your chin, but back. So closer to your throat. And it's the only bone in the body that does not articulate with any other bones. So it only holds its connection to the rest of the vocal tract anatomy by different muscle, tendon, and ligament connections. So it's sometimes called the floating bone.
Ugh.
And there was a decent amount of forensic research looking at breakage of a hyoid bone during strangulation, and it's actually found that during strangulation or during like someone's neck breaking, the hyoid usually well, it can break, but it's not always because of that. Like there are too many other factors involved that it's not like it can't be just straight up used as a sign of whether or not someone was strangled.
Which I think about because as somebody who reads thrillers constantly, people love to mention the hyoid, and I remember you telling me that, and I
Really?
think this isn't the sign that you think it is.
Oh, funny. Oh, I'm so proud. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. I feel very like
Cool.
inside knowledge. Yeah.
Um, But you do see some damage to the cervical vertebrae, particularly if someone's neck is like snapped. But what I'm getting at is that crushed is a whole different thing.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like the amount, like you would see damage to the cervical vertebrae, but then being crushed implies.
Yeah, there's a difference between broken and crushed.
Yeah. Yeah. Crushed is,
Like I broke that vase versus I crushed that vase.
yeah. Yeah. Except the vase is like built to be super strong in this case.
It's like a cement vase.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So her cervical vertebrae were crushed.
Okay.
Nurse prints are the only ones present.
On her neck or just in the room?
I think she means on the body. On the body. Yeah.
Okay.
And so Mulder says they found out who it was. Her name is Karina Sales, and she worked for a legal office, but she was fired recently for an indiscretion. And the indiscretion was that one of the legal firm clients operated an escort service, and Karina was working for them.
No.
So Scully tells Mulder that she'll finish up and meet him elsewhere. And as she's turning out the light to leave, she sees that Karina has a bunch of fluorescence around her mouth and nose, which is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like under black light, just like under normal darkness.
Yes. So Mulder and Scully go to talk to Lorraine, who is the owner of the escort service, and they want to know who hired Karina last night. And so Karina called Lorraine last night. So she like called in to say that she was that she met someone at a bar who was interested in a transaction, and it was Skinner. Mulder suggests that this could be credit card fraud, that like the name on the credit card was Walter Skinner, but he's suggesting that maybe Skinner is innocent and this is just like credit card fraud. But Skinner was also like next to the dead woman's body.
I cannot wrap my head around that.
So yeah, neither does Scully. So Mulder gets a call that Skinner was released. And so him and Scully go to meet him at the station. And once again, Skinner is being super evasive and not wanting to talk to them and not wanting to talk about it. And eventually, kind of as they're talking, it turns out that Skinner did not know that Karina was a sex worker. She thought, she was an interested woman or whatever. So then behind Mulder and Scully, kind of across the street where Skinner's facing, we see a woman, an older woman wearing...
In a red coat?
Yeah. Yep.
Sorry, I just remembered.
And she looks like she's like talking, but we can't hear any sound and can't make out what she's saying. And it looks like the older woman who Skinner had the dream about the previous night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so he like runs across the street, and for a while he like doesn't see her there and is like trying to find where she went. And then eventually sees a woman in the same red raincoat and kind of turns her around, and it's his wife, we learn, Sharon Skinner.
Whoa.
So Mulder and so Skinner basically just like runs off and doesn't want to talk to anyone. But Mulder and Scully start talking to Sharon. And apparently they never knew he was married. They haven't been together. Skinner and Sharon haven't been together for about 8 months.
Okay.
But still, the X-Files has been going on for longer than that. So I feel like they should know that he was married. But
I mean, I guess he's not sharing much.
Yeah. And I think that's partially like the point, is that like he wasn't super invested anymore. But also, I don't know, I have a male coworker who I found out that him and his wife were expecting another baby. And I was like, oh my gosh, so exciting. When is she due? And he was like, oh, in like 2 weeks. I was like, oh, and I don't know. I guess why would you tell me? But also like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, like, partially that kind of fits.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know that's kind of a stereotype, but I feel like, I don't know. I wonder sometimes what Zach shares with our coworkers, which is nothing.
I mean, do you think they know he's married to you?
Well, no, someone just found out, honestly. I went to a meeting and one of my colleagues was like, "Oh, Helen, I just learned you're married to one of my favorite people."
Oh
And
my God.
mine too. But it's funny because one of my friends has the same last name as us and works at the
Right.
college. And so I feel like people could assume that he's married to either one of us or that there's
Yeah.
no relation between any of us or,
Or that you and Nikita are married and Zach
yeah,
doesn't know either of you.
right.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
There's also
yeah.
options. So
Yeah.
yeah. Um,
I I know that when Adam and I first started taking students abroad, we realized, no, not when we first did, but after a few years, once we were together, we realized we had to tell the students very clearly that we were married because we had, and I think we had actually on this trip, but we had students who were like whispering to each other, like, they're in the same room, they're sharing a hotel room. And it's like, yes, because we are married.
yeah, that's really funny. I didn't.
And and you also know last year or last time we did a study abroad trip, we had at our like we're leaving at the airport. They know we're married. We have different last names,
Right.
but Adam's ex-wife works at the college and still has the same last name as him.
Right.
And one of our students kept saying to me, "Oh yeah, so I met Adam's wife," and I was like, "Yes, I am Adam's wife. That is me." And she was like, "Yeah, but I met Mrs. Stanley and his wife." And I was like, "No, first of all, Dr. Stanley also, and also not his wife, his ex-wife." And it was just like,
Oh,
I was just like, "Oh, I can't wait to take you abroad for 2 weeks." Um,
my God.
yeah,
Jeez. That sounds
yeah,
fun.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh God.
yeah,
Um, yeah, at least it's not like, my friend is either of our exes. She's
yeah,
just another
yeah,
person who happens to
yeah,
have her name.
yeah.
Um, so she says that Mulder was one of the few people that Skinner ever talked about. And she wants to know if he really murdered the woman. And Mulder says he doesn't think that he did it.
Hmm.
So Mulder and Scully go to Skinner's office, and there's some guy rifling through Skinner's stuff.
Hmm.
And it turns out he's another agent that was called in from Norfolk to like assist in the investigation. And Mulder says something like, the police are on it, essentially, like why.
Hmm.
But it's that he's been called in to assess Skinner's like ability to keep doing his job, essentially. So whether this means that he's going to be fired, basically.
Hmm. Okay.
And he's from like the office something something OPC.
Well,
Is that a thing?
yeah,
Office
you
of
know me.
yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Um, and so this guy tells them that there's a hearing the next day to discuss Skinner's ability to stay as the assistant director and that they can present any evidence they might have then. And so him and Scully, Mulder and Scully, are talking in their office and talking about like the fact that Skinner at one point says he doesn't remember anything. And so Mulder is saying like, well, either he does remember or he doesn't. And Scully then pulls out a video of a man dreaming who thinks he's running from a train. And he later broke his wife's arm when he like pushed her out of the way of the train.
Oh,
And I don't know why she like had this tape handy. But
it is. Yeah, I mean, it's the 90s. It's not like she could just call it up really quickly on her phone. She was like, let me insert this VHS to show you this. That is weird.
yeah. And apparently the tape came from a nearby sleep clinic, which Skinner had been going to for the past 3 months.
Oh,
So like,
oh, so
that, but we haven't heard from that yet.
wait, what'd you say?
Oh, that like, so she could have gotten the tape because Skinner has been going there, but like, why did she have a random videotape from
Yeah,
the guy? That's all.
yeah, yeah.
What were you going to say?
So basically, what Scully, I think, is trying to get at is Skinner might have accidentally killed this woman in his sleep.
Right. Yeah. And apparently he's at the sleep clinic because he's been having a recurring dream of an older woman talking to him, but he can't hear her, and she eventually suffocates him.
Oh my God. But also, like, I just can't imagine going to a sleep clinic because you're having an upsetting dream.
Yeah, I don't know what their purview is. I'm really only familiar with them in terms of like sleep apnea and stuff.
Hmm. I mean,
Uh,
I went to one when I was falling asleep at the wheel. Yeah.
yeah.
This seems like a great time to tell you about the dream I had recently.
Oh, no.
No, it's amazing. And I
Oh,
am just
okay.
glad I hadn't yet told you so that I can tell you officially.
Great.
I'm in a tattoo parlor slash coffee shop.
Ooh.
And I'm like chatting. I'm just like having a cup of tea and I'm like chatting with someone who works there who I know or something. And then mom comes in and I'm like, oh, mom. And she tells me like she's going to get a tattoo. And I was like, that's so cool. Like, what? Sorry. It it's so weird. I don't know why I dreamt this. So I'm like introducing her to this person I'm talking to, and I'm like, this is my mom. She doesn't have any tattoos, and I'm like, oh, I'm excited to see what you're gonna get. And I mean, I have a White Sox tattoo, and I thought maybe she'd get that or something. And so she starts like laying down on this tattoo couch thing rather than sitting up, and I'm like, huh. And then she tells me that she really wants to appreciate like her life more and just remember to have like gratitude. And so that's why she's getting this tattoo. And she's gonna get the words thank you tattooed real big on her forehead. And she like showed me the mock-up and it was like gonna take up her whole forehead.
Oh,
And
God.
there were like little floral designs around the edges. And I was like, are you sure? And she was like, yeah, that way when I look in the mirror, I'll be reminded.
The funny thing is she has like almost always had bangs. Like I don't know
I
that you
mean, like, so, like, technically it's possible she already has that tattoo and we just don't know.
exactly. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like, I woke up like, what? Like, I don't know. So I'm just imagining a scenario now where I go to a sleep clinic. Like, I just keep dreaming about my mother tattooing her forehead and I need it to stop.
Uh yeah, I don't know. I would say like psychiatrist first or like
Not for me, right?
no, not for you. No, no, no. No, for Skinner.
Right.
Um I really want a thestral tattoo, but
Look, here's the thing though. Every time J.K. Rowling opens her goddamn mouth, she says
I
something more
know.
hateful, you
But
know?
like yeah, she's not getting the money from it.
Yeah, but like the problem is that what I would think is that then if somebody sees the thestral tattoo, they're like, is she a TERF?
You would think that from someone with a Harry Potter tattoo? Really?
I would wonder nowadays because I don't
Really?
know how much you've kept up on the shit she says, but she
I
is
mostly ignore it because I know it's
I have a lot of trans friends in Derby who share it and get real mad, understandably so. And
yeah.
it's like Asexual Awareness Day today, and
Oh,
like,
huh.
okay,
Okay. Yeah.
that's good, that's fine. And she went off on some rant on Twitter about like, oh, just say you don't want to get laid, and like deranged shit you would expect from like your racist 80-year-old uncle. Not,
Weird.
yeah. So
Weird.
I'm so angry about her betrayal of that stuff that like
Yeah,
yeah, I feel like I've forgotten what a thestral is, so I clearly would not look at a thestral tattoo and think that because I can't even remember what they are.
sure. Yeah.
It's not a dragon, is it? It's the bird? No, it's not the
No, it's
bird.
ones that look like Eevees. They're
Oh, yes, they're the horses
the
that oh, I mean like that would be beautiful. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I still very much separate Harry Potter from J.K. Rowling in my head.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, like, I do think it's like you have the books, you enjoy them. Like, I get
right.
that. Like, I
Yeah.
think I don't have little kids, so I don't have the input of it. I just have an awareness of like the absolute unhinged, hateful shit she says constantly, and
Yeah.
like how like all the stars of the movies have like distanced themselves from her and disavowed her, and like, which is awesome. Helen and I just had to pause for a quick break, not to talk about tattoo things for other scheduling reasons, and to now finish talking about the episode. We will go do that and
Yeah.
just end with we agree to disagree about tattoos. Doesn't matter. We both hate J.K. Rowling as a person. That's what really matters.
One thing though that I do want to add, because this is one of my favorite life hacks, is that you can find pirated. I would not do this with any other books, but because I love the Harry Potter books, but don't want to give her any more of my money, you can find pirated versions of the audiobooks on podcast apps so that you can listen to the audiobooks, which I tend to do when I fall asleep at night. But that's not giving any extra money or things to her because it's pirated.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite way of maintaining my love of Harry Potter, but my desire to not give her any more money.
I feel like there's probably a lot of people who I would want to have that life hack for. Like nothing off the top of my head, but like I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So God, I don't know what was happening.
I think that Skinner was going to a sleep clinic because of his dreams.
Yes.
Sorry.
There we go. And so Mulder brings up succubi.
Yes, succubi.
Try to wrap up, not too lengthy of a manner. So Mulder thinks that he talks about how this like nighttime visitation of an elderly woman is not new. And that there were Middle Ages visitations attributed to succubi, and that sometimes she becomes so attached that she'll kill any woman who is vying for the man's attention. So Mulder's new hypothesis is that the succubus killed Karina.
Yeah, theory one, credit card fraud.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and you know what? This is one where he's not right about any of this.
Oh, no kidding.
No, I mean she kind of is a succubus, but so we'll get there. And so he shows Scully this picture. He pulls out a book and is showing her a picture of like an old painting of a succubus, which again,
like that scene in The Burbs.
Oh, I don't remember. Right. It's been too long, but
I had to skip that scene when I was little because it was too scary.
Oh, I don't think I've ever seen it because I don't think I've watched it since I was an adult.
Yeah.
And there's like rays of stuff coming out of the succubus's fingers. He asks what that is, and he says that like sometimes they thought like they would like shoot phosphorescence at people, basically.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But that's how then Scully tells him about the fluorescence that was on the woman's mouth, which, as I put in my notes, she didn't before now. Like, this is like, that would have been like the first thing I said was, there was weird fluorescence on her body. Anyway.
Yeah.
So they go to the morgue so she can show him, but it's no longer there. It was sent out to the like chemical analysis people and
the body's no longer there, not the fluorescent stuff.
No, the body was there. The fluorescence was not.
Okay. All right.
And all the chemical analyst people found was amylase, which is in our saliva.
Oh, okay.
So Skinner's at home and Sharon comes to check on him, and there's some kind of like fighting about the divorce and some bickering. And eventually she leaves and he kind of falls asleep on his couch. And he wakes up to hearing screaming and he looks, and the woman in the raincoat is there briefly. And then there's a knock on the door, and it's the police saying that Sharon was in an accident, that someone ran her off the road.
Oh.
So they're at the police station, and Skinner is a suspect for this, for running her off the road. And Mulder gives him an update that Sharon's in surgery. And Skinner says he doesn't know what to believe and doesn't know what's happening to him, and, is kind of vague about that and kind of cryptic. And Mulder asks about the old woman in the dream. And Skinner says that for a few months now, he started seeing her again. And so then, of course, Mulder is like, again?
Yeah.
Fair follow-up question. So when Skinner was in Vietnam, and I think we had heard of this from a different episode too.
That he was in Vietnam. Yeah.
Right. He was the sole survivor of an ambush and was like very, very close to dying. And that was when he first saw her, and he just dismissed her as a hallucination, but she lifted him up and carried him back away from the light, he says.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so Mulder suggests that she was trying to protect him, but from what, neither of them know. So Mulder and Scully are with Skinner's car in the parking garage, and there are only his prints on the steering wheel, and there's paint on the front of the car where it's now smashed a little bit that matches Sharon's car. Here, his car was used. So Mulder starts cutting out the airbag, like you do, and brings it to Agent Pendrell.
Agent Pendrell.
Yeah. And they're like scanning the pattern of the face that was imprinted on the airbag. There's some real interesting science going on that I did not investigate because it's not real.
Yeah.
So they're looking at like the pattern of the face that was created by the person who was driving the car with some sort of very fancy program that I'd love to have. And so they're like scanning and waiting for it to scan to like build in all the different layers to get this 3D image of the face. So Skinner's hearing is now here, and Scully is there, but Mulder isn't. And she brings up the phosphorescence issue. And the guy interviewing her starts questioning her about the paranormal and about her beliefs and about Skinner's beliefs in their work and about if Skinner is like supporting them. And like, it's clear he's like trying to use their work to try to discredit what Skinner is saying. And so Mulder shows up like right as it's ending, and Scully lets him know that they dismissed Skinner and that essentially they used the X-Files to justify it. But Mulder has the picture of the person who was driving the car. I thought it was going to be the older woman. I was wrong. It's some guy.
I had no idea who it was going to be. My guess was Krychek or cigarette smoking man, but that was all I had.
So, and here's the thing. I get to the end of the episode and I didn't notice cigarette smoking man.
Oh. So
there's a point I'll talk about in a minute that could have had him, that maybe it was just too dark and I didn't notice.
Oh,
God. So they're going to talk to Lorraine to see if she recognizes the woman who owns the escort service, to see if she recognizes
the guy.
Yeah. But she's dead.
Oh no.
Yeah. But there's another escort who's there. So they talk to her. Her name is Judy. And ask her if she can identify the man, and she can. She says that he was the one who hired Karina.
I thought we didn't know who hired Karina.
Well, yeah, I thought that she called in about it. I don't know. Okay. I have the same questions and I have no answers.
Okay.
So they want her to call the guy whose number was associated with it, which also I don't know why they didn't check first to see if it was Skinner's number or like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But Skinner didn't know she was a sex worker. And so like, he wouldn't have, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
But she recognizes him. They want her to call him and tell him that she's scared because the FBI talked to her and set up a time to meet in a hotel bar. And this is where we see the guy in a car watching them from, so he can see them and he like agrees to meet her, but he's watching her.
Okay.
And so this part in the car, maybe cigarette smoking man was in, but that's the only thing I can think of. I did not. But so what happens though? Skinner is visiting Sharon in the hospital and she's not conscious, but he says that he's not signing the papers and is like apologizing and stuff. And she starts waking up. And so he goes to get help and then looks back at her room and it's the older woman who's lying in the bed, not Sharon. Ooh. So then he comes back into the room and suddenly it's Sharon again. And she says that she has to tell him something. Oh, meanwhile, Mulder and Scully and Judy are waiting at the hotel for the guy. And Judy's up in a hotel room where Scully is like waiting outside her door. And she calls for Judy and she doesn't answer. And so Scully calls Mulder and says, get up here. And Mulder and some of the agents are in the bar. And so they come running up. And Scully goes into the hotel room and has her gun drawn. And she like eventually bursts open the bathroom door and Judy's there and she's fine. And it's like, what are you doing?
Oh.
But then we see someone come up behind Scully.
Oh.
And so he knocks her out. Some guy knocks her.
Mm-hmm.
So then Mulder and the other detectives arrive and we see Mulder, the other detectives, and Skinner all standing there. And Judy is upset and like kind of cowering in the bathroom, freaked out. Scully is okay, but unconscious. And the guy who was attacking Scully has been knocked out.
Okay. And we don't know yet what Skinner's wife said to him.
No, and we never do.
Wait, what?
Kind of, yeah. But Skinner somehow got there first. So Mulder and the detectives arrived. So Skinner was the one to knock out the guy and save Scully and Judy.
Okay.
So then they're back at work and Skinner's in his office and they say they have like no ID on the guy. They have no name. They have no fingerprints. They, that old story. And Mulder asks Skinner how he knew to be at the hotel. And he says he can't say. And that whatever he believes may have happened, it doesn't belong on a report. And Mulder is like, well, can you tell me off the record? And Skinner looks like he's going to, but then says, no, he's got work to do. And
what?
He like reaches in his desk and pulls out his wedding ring and puts it back on. So we know there was some sort of weird mysticism with the older woman and like warning them, maybe talking to Sharon somehow that saved Judy and Scully. But we don't know, or at least I don't know, like what that mechanism was. And
yeah,
that's it.
Wow.
Yeah. Good episode.
Now, do you have any science things to say? I have a brief science thing to say.
No, I don't.
I've read about how like succubi and like the hag, as they've talked about, like the figure on the chest that like, and that's not me describing the old woman that way. That's like a folklore term, is that some people think that comes from sleep paralysis. Like when we're in a certain stage of sleep and we feel like something on our chest, it's because we can't move.
Right.
And so that's all I know about that is that.
So they actually didn't mention that, and this I did not look up or confirm, but Scully apparently claims that is in a different cycle of sleep than the REM disturbed behavior or something she calls it.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know, except I've heard that as well. And but what I know about succubi comes from Carol Goodman books.
What Carol Goodman book has succubi?
The ones that she wrote, what was it? Jewel of Dark?
Yeah. I forgot about those. Yeah.
Yeah. Those that she wrote under a pseudonym.
Right.
Yeah. Those have succubi. So that's all I got.
Huh. I didn't realize how many open questions were left in that episode.
Yeah, me neither. It was a very good one. Maybe rewatching again would help. I don't know. I swear I did not see Cigarette Smoking Man, and I was primed to notice because I saw.
Of course.
I don't know.
No, I mean, I wonder if it's something where that scene was cut or something.
Maybe. Or maybe it was like real brief, and
you just like walked by in the background having a smoke break or something.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got. But it's good to be back. Next week is Quagmire. So I look forward to that.
Yeah, and has the Jeremiah was a bullfrog moment.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. Great episode.
Yeah.
All right. Well, until next time.
All right. Bye.
We Want to Believe is hosted by Helen Werner and Liz Holden. It's produced by Zach Werner. The We Want to Believe theme music was created and recorded by Zach Werner. Find us at wewanttoBelievePod.com, on Instagram at wewanttoBelievePod, or send us an email at wewanttoBelievePod@gmail.com.